Thanks. Hi, everybody. Yeah, Sara Beth Urban. I've been the executive director of the Tennessee Distillers Guild for about a little over 2 years now. And yeah, I feel like I'm living proof that you never know where you'll end up because I did get a history degree from MTSU with a master's in public history and museum management. So my first job directly out of MTSU was actually as the executive director at a historic house museum in Hendersonville called Rock Castle. And I worked there for about 3-ish years and really learned there. I came in, in a history program, you learn how to handle artifacts and how to think critically, how to, do your research and all that kind of stuff. And I knew how to do all those things. But then all of a sudden, as an executive director, you're working with a board. You have direct reports and a staff that you have to work with. You have 18 acres and a historic house to manage, and you have to pay the electric bill and the utility bill. And so on the job, I had to learn a lot of that stuff as I was going. But I felt fairly prepared with that degree just because I'd done a lot of different things throughout my career at MTSU and got a chance to kind of explore that. From Rock Castle, I actually got the chance to meet, because of some networking, I got to meet the Commissioner of Tourism for the state. And he actually asked me to come and apply for a job with their department. It's called the Middle Tennessee Division Manager. And that job was really about relationship building. This is really where taking a comms class at MTSU and learning communication skills came in very valuable to me, because I had to work with 40 counties in Middle Tennessee, ranging from downtown Nashville and Broadway and all that stuff that goes on to very rural areas of Tennessee in Wayne County or Clay County. And so you have to kind of come up with some creative ways to reach those different audiences and figure out how on earth do you market Wayne County and Nashville at the same time. Well, it's two very different audiences. And so I had to take some research side of that, which came in handy with my background in history, and really find ways to connect with not only the people promoting those places, so the people who live in Wayne County, but also the visitors that are going there. So, and then from tourism, that's how I got with the Tennessee Distillers Guild. They launched the Tennessee Whiskey Trail in 2017 while I was with Tennessee Tourism, and I got to be a part of the launch. I got to go to the event and meet a lot of the distillers and talk to them about this amazing product that they had come up with. I'm sure some of you have heard Kentucky has a great bourbon trail, and this is Tennessee's offshoot of it. So we're really excited to get it launched, but they didn't have an executive director at the time. So a few years later, they approached me and asked if I would come and apply for the job, and I did, and I've been there ever since. And it is so much fun. Again, it is very much, probably the biggest skill that I used from my time in the liberal arts program is my communications. So much of what I do is based around relationship building. It's calling these distillers and telling them the benefits of being a member, why they should join, what we offer, all those different things that go along with that. And then it's also gaining their trust. They have to know that I'm in it for them, and that I'm here to kind of, I basically work in customer service part of the time. And I try to, like I said, gain their trust is kind of how I put it, but build that relationship so that they know they can text me with questions. They know they can call me and ask things. And also so that they actually know me. I'm not a super private person. I like to share, I have kids, I'm married, I'm from the Nashville area originally. I share all those things with my members so that they know a little bit about me and that they trust me and that they know that I'm there for them. So that's kind of how I ended up in the Tennessee Distillers Guild. And probably a question I get the most of the time about working with the Tennessee Distillers Guild is, does that mean that I drink for a living? No. I have a normal job. I spend a lot of time sending emails and making phone calls. I have to file insurance papers. I have to lead board of directors meetings. But then there is the fun side where we get to plan events or get out there and be a part of a new product launch. Or for instance, we just opened our airport restaurant. So we're working on a way to advertise that. And that's where that creativity, my ability to write also has come in handy. Sorry, I'm tapping my mic. That's where my ability to write has come in handy because I have to write a lot of press releases. I had to write one in I had about a day and a half to turn one around for our airport restaurant opening because we ended up having to open it before the end of 2021. So in a day and a half, I had to have a press release done, had to have it edited, I had to have approval from all the people mentioned in it. I had to write those people's quotes. So I don't know if you know this, but a lot of times when you're reading a news story and someone maybe says a quote about the thing, and if it's a press release, most likely the person writing it wrote that. That person didn't actually say that. So I had to write their quotes for them, get approval from them, and then submit all of that and then send it out to the media. So So many aspects of liberal arts has come into play in that. And while yes, I have done some extra work, like I took an accounting course in order to get better at doing finances for my coursework. I've done a lot of workshops and additional training outside of that, just so that I can have a better understanding of how best to work with a board of directors and stuff like that. But my strong background in liberal arts, especially that communications piece, has been just invaluable to me going forward. So that's kind of how I got here, and where, like I said, how I use my degree on a regular basis. Do you have questions from the group? I know we've had shorter time, so I kind of powered through that.
What kind of questions do y'all have? I know you've got questions for her.
It's okay.
So you have to do like a lot of writing, because don't they have to like check sure like there's no mistakes, anything, so you can be able to improve it?
Yes. So yeah, she asked, is there a lot of, I have to do a lot of writing and make sure there's no mistakes. So yes, not only do I have to write it, but then I have to do the editing side of it. So in, your English classes, when you go over revision and you're looking at stuff about, I know it sounds so boring, but the commas and the periods and all of that stuff, it really plays into effect when you have to very quickly edit a press release. And, fortunately, I keep some close people around me that I know that also have good editing skills. And so pop it off to them and they may catch an extra comma or a dash that needs to go in there. Yeah.
So since your base is making relationships with people, what's the biggest challenge you face? Like whether it be, I don't know, just when you're talking to people, everybody's different. So what's the biggest challenge you face when communicating?
Yeah, so I'm repeating your question for our camera, but biggest challenge I face when communicating with people is the first thing I do is I try to listen and read them a little bit. So get a chance to see what's going on. Are they talking to me because they're angry? Are they excited? Are they confused? One thing I like to do, I prefer like Zoom or FaceTime or actually face-to-face meetings than phone calls. Only because I can read their expressions, so that if maybe they're saying, yeah, I understand, but their face looks like this, then I know that they don't actually understand and they're just saying that. So I try to always read people as best as I can. And really, that comes from experience, just being around people, talking to them, observing them. I have definitely done my fair share of awkward networking events where I stand in the corner and kind of, sip my water and hope that no one notices me. But it takes a little bit of practice, and then you get out there and start realizing that, you can do this. Everyone feels just as awkward as you do. And yeah, it's just about, a lot of it is listening to those people. A lot of times especially in my role as like an executive director for an association or even with the state, a lot of times I almost called myself a therapist sometimes, because you show up there and they just kind of want to talk about their problems and then see if you can help. But the first part you've got to do is listen. Yeah.
What's the biggest difference whenever you're talking to people in like the city or on like more of the countryside of Tennessee? Like, is there like a big communication difference?
So big communication difference between urban areas and rural areas. Not necessarily. A lot of times the needs are very different, because in a rural area, they may not have a hotel. They may not have all the amenities they need, especially in the tourism world, whereas a downtown or an urban area is overwhelmed with that kind of stuff. So you have different needs and different requests that you get from there. Obviously, too, in a rural area, they're going to have significantly less funds to help with some of these tourism initiatives as the urban areas are. So it's a little bit about, especially right now in my job with the Tennessee Distillers Guild, I have distilleries that are located in downtown Nashville, and then I have distilleries that are located in Short Mountain, which is just down the road from here. It's in Cannon County, and it's in the middle of nowhere. Billy would tell you that himself. And so his needs for the Distillers Guild are a lot heavier, because he needs more promotion and more marketing from the guild, because otherwise no one's going to know where he is. Whereas your downtown distillery, people are walking by there all the time. And so more than anything, they need back off some of the marketing some days, because there's too many people in their facilities. So it's, again, about balancing those requests that they come in with. Yeah.
What would you say is the hardest aspect of your job?
The hardest aspect of my job. Oh, goodness. Probably, to a degree, it's balancing all of those needs. Again, I do a lot of communication with them. I do a lot of speaking, so I do a ton of public speaking. I still get nervous every single time. Y'all, I know there are some people who I think the top two biggest fears in the world are death and public speaking, and some people put public speaking first. I used to be one of those people. I used to hate public speaking. I actually think it was my comms class at MTSU that helped me deal with some of my fear. But it's just getting out there and telling people what's going on, and sometimes they don't like it. And that's, it's not fun having to tell someone no. Just this last week, we had, a committee meeting where we had to kind of shut down an idea from someone, and it's never fun doing that. But it's, again, because I have those strong relationships with them, they know it's not personal. They know that it's for the good of the whole. Yeah.
You mentioned things that you do in and out of the office. How long would you say that you're in the office compared to like out of the office doing things?
Well, my office is my home, so I'm in the office a lot. Going back to your challenging question, sometimes the biggest challenge is working at home. I won't lie. I do miss a little bit of the office environment, and I try to get out of my house on a daily basis just because it's very easy to get holed up in your house. But I mostly follow the typical 9 to 5 kind of time slots as best I can. But because I have to work with an association, so for instance, right now we have to do a lot at the legislature. And so if a bill comes up late in the day, I've got to be, texting and calling people at 7 o'clock at night. So I have 2 small kids too, though. So I have to set boundaries at times. But for the most part, 40 hours a week plus, weekend events and stuff like that sometimes. No, well, with the Guild, yes. The Guild does not have any offices. So the distilleries all work separately, but I have a marketing director too, and we both work out of our homes. And then obviously we travel to all the distilleries throughout the year. Yeah. So we have 38 distilleries in the Guild, and then we have 28 of those that are on the Tennessee Whiskey Trail. So you have to be a Guild member, you have to be in the association to be on the trail. But for instance, we have some distilleries that are like too small, or they're brand new, or maybe they don't want to be open to the public. So you can still be in the Guild without being on the trail. So, and again, that's another thing we have to balance is the needs of people who need public facing marketing versus those who just want to be in the association. How many of them are here? Like in Murfreesboro? Actually, we have one in, I guess they're in Murfreesboro now, but there's one, but they're not actually open yet. So they're still building their facilities. So yeah, Short Mountain is your closest one right now. Short Mountain, yes.
Well, thank you, Sara Beth.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.